Well, happy Pride and welcome back to Now No Opportunity Wasted. And right now, I am so honored to have the opportunity to sit with Jordyn Jay, founder of BTFA. There was a bar. I don't know if y'all saw the setup. Jordyn Jay, founder of BTFA.
Right, you ate that.
Okay, I did a little something. Thank you so much for being here with me now. Not just for being here with me for right now, but for providing your beautiful space. I walked in this morning, early this morning, because we've been here all day,
Yes.
and you've been here all day. Thank you so much. I know this has been an undertaking, but what you have given us, the space you have created and extended to us today, is helping us to celebrate Pride our way. Celebrate Pride by focusing on the issues that matter to us and by amplifying the voices that matter to us. The voices who are uplifting and speaking and creating space for us when others have packed up and went into the other direction. You've been filling in the gap. Thank you. Thank you. So with BTFA, what I know you recognize this deep need for visibility,
Mhm.
for us to have access to artistry and creativity. Can you take us back to the moment where you realized this was something you needed to do?
I can. It was many moments. It started really under Dr. Marta Moreno Vega at NYU, the icon and institution building in New York City, the founder of the Caribbean Culture Center in Harlem, the second executive director of El Museo del Barrio. She was my professor in my senior year of undergrad, and I was learning about equitable arts institutions and what it meant for a community to have an art stronghold and a cultural stronghold. And I was looking around at the services that were available to trans people. And so much of it was centered on housing, on healthcare, on food. And we know that's needed and we know that's so important. But I thought, okay, what about when we survive? What's next? What goes into living a life, to fulfilling dreams? Where is that need being met? And so that's when I said, okay, this is something that needs to happen so that trans people can not only survive, but imagine a life that is robust and full of joy and hope. And that's what the arts do for us.
You know, absolutely. So number one, just thank you for creating that space and recognizing that we deserve to not just focus on surviving, but thriving, because I often say what I want for our community is to put down their armor and return to their field of dreams. Because I feel like so many of us have put our dreams down and put on this armor just to be able to navigate and survive. And so to think beyond this moment where we're still the audacity to think, but what you have seen is how powerful and shifting and life changing art can be, how valuable and powerful art can be. Coming in here and looking on the wall and seeing our ancestors on the wall in such these beautiful ways. It's world changing. You are changing the world. What does liberation, because we talk about liberation all the time in the movement for pride, but what does creative liberation look like for the trans community?
For me, it looks like the ability to create work that goes beyond being representational. I want people to stop looking at Black trans art and saying, oh, look at how great this is because it's representative of a community, and say, look at how great this is because of the value of the work itself. To be able to engage with it, critique it, tear it down, beat it up, flip it around. I think that there's so much of this protective bubble that people put around Black trans art that we can't critique it because it means you're tearing down a community that is disenfranchised. But really, to actually look at the art and say that it has value is to say it's worth critiquing, it's worth making
Absolutely.
better, it's worth moving forward. And so that's where I want us to get. And I also want us to get to a place where Black trans artists can make bad art and keep going. How many white directors, even now Black cis directors, get to make awful, horrible, multi-million dollar films and get another budget
And another one,
and another one?
and another one.
And we don't get that privilege.
Absolutely.
And so that's where I want to see our community go in the arts.
I have had the privilege also of celebrating with you and the work that you have created at your was it your annual gala? What
Yes, it was actually our first gala.
that was your
Like,
first
yes,
gala?
it was.
I had the pleasure of being at and performing
Yes.
at your first gala. And when I tell you that moment was so beautiful for me. I was there with Mila Jim performed as well. You had dance performers and what was it, a house that was
Yeah, it was Courtney Balenciaga, who's my auntie. I called her and I was like, I want to do a tribute to ballroom and bring that to the Brooklyn Museum and show people what this community is that has inspired me and inspired so many before us. And so we had artists that were runway walkers and voguers, face girls, and they all came together and did like this school concept of like teaching the elements of ballroom. And it was
and it
so
was sick. It
beautiful.
was like it was one of the competitions on Legendary.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
was
Courtney was a choreographer on season one of Legendary.
well,
So,
see,
you
there it
know,
because it was at that level.
yeah.
And then when I was able to go on stage and perform with Mila Jam with Fierce, there was just this organic moment where I was like, turn this is not just our stage, turn this stage into your runway. If you are feeling what you feeling yourself right now, take the runway through the song. And I felt like we were recreating the music video that we did with Fierce, where all these Duran Bernard, Moore, Money Long, all these names, and I was so grateful, you know what I'm saying, for those legends to be,
Mhm.
in our video, but then to create and extend that space to our folks in community. That was one of the highlights of my career.
Mm.
Thank you for. Let me tell you why it was actually a highlight, because I navigated into some territory that I know I shouldn't have navigated into, but it's okay because I was feeling myself. But I navigated into some territory. I was like, I want to sing Mariah Carey Hero. Listen, I know. But the girl, I have a very, my range is there, but going in between the things and whatever, sometimes, it's a lot of work as a singer when you are making it a clean transition from your chest voice to your head
Mhm.
voice and all the things. So I'm singing Mariah, I'm doing well, it's going great. And then there was just a moment where like I I couldn't hear, I got past the thing or whatever, and I just the transition didn't go, whatever. It wasn't the most perfect moment. And the way the trans women in the audience stood up and started applauding
Mhm.
and were just like, "You got it, girl," and blah, blah, blah. I could cry because I remember a time of being in like the pageantry system and singing India Ree's song "I Am Ready for Love" when I was
Mm.
running for Miss Florida Continental, and just feeling like I was singing for the Apollo Theater, sometimes with the gays that don't understand the courage and the things that it takes as a trans woman to try to find your voice.
Right.
And so it took a long time for me to find my voice, and I've still found, but I've had such a hold on it. And I was feeling "Hero" was the song I wanted to sing because of the message, and all the
Mhm.
things. And it was beautiful.
It was. It was such a
It
beautiful
was
moment.
it
I
really
was
was.
so honored to, when you started singing the song to me, I was like, oh, oh, ah! Like it was just so amazing. And part of why I chose the Brooklyn Museum for that event was because of that scene in Pose where, the girls go in and they take all the
The
costumes and that's the closing of the show. And I was like, that is just such a full circle moment for this community to go from seeing our history represented on television to being a part of it and representing it in real time together. And that's why I wanted you to be there. That's why I wanted the girls to be there. And it was just such a beautiful event. And that what you were talking about is exactly what I want for us, is for us to be able to be imperfect, for us to be able to learn on the spot and still
Because how
be
many
welcomed
performers out
and
there have
loved.
bad things and they're not just completely saying, "Oh, girl, get rid of her."
Exactly. Even Beyonce fell down the stairs
Baby, yes, and but she learned from that and cut them. costumes. Their bodysuits, ain't
They
a lot
sure
of stuff
did.
trailing down the thing. Now, okay, back to BTFA, because one thing that I love about this is I don't know how you're doing it, but this is more than just, providing creative space. It's mutual aid.
Mhm.
It's support. Can you talk to us about all the things that BTFA is and provides for our community?
Absolutely. So we have several pillars of our programming, and the original one is mutual aid because BTFA started from, well, our funding started from a place of my concern for our community during COVID, when the Black Lives Matter protests were at their height in 2020, and wanting to make sure that when Black trans people were out on the streets protesting, they were protected. And so I got some other organizers together and I said, hey, can we create a fund to protect our people when they're out in the street so we can get them an Uber away if they need to run away from cops, so we can cover their medical needs if they get injured, so that we can bail them out if we need to. And so that fund just blew up in a way that I never could have anticipated. We made $1 million in 1 week.
What?
Yes. And so after the
That's no, hold
no,
on.
yeah.
Let's take a pause. Okay, because that's no easy. I don't you sitting here and you're looking
Mhm.
all beautiful and
Thank
airbrushed and
you.
everything.
Thank
You
you.
look, y'all, it ain't just what you seeing on TV. In real life is giving. But I wanted to say that that's not an easy feat, because all the time, as first of all, as trans organizations, we typically only get 1%
Mhm.
of funding. So to experience that, congratulations, first of all, because I think that that was a sign from the universe, again, to affirm that you are doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely. It was such a convergence between, it being Pride Month for the first time where people couldn't be out in the streets, where there was no events. So all of this money that would go into Pride was now being channeled into organizations that were actually doing the work. And it's all because of folks who came before and laid the groundwork and made people understand that Black trans women, Black trans men, Black trans people deserve to be funded, deserve to be protected. And so there was already a groundwork for people to pour into us. And so I'm so thankful for all those who made that possible. But after the protests started to die down over the course of the summer, we were able to start rolling that money into artistic programming. But I said, I always want there to be a part of our budget that is connected to providing for our people. And so we provide community aid, $50,000 every year for housing, healthcare, transportation, any emergency situation that the girls come across. As much as we can give, we do. It's a rolling application every month, and it's something that's so near and dear to my heart and to this work that we do, because
How
we
do you
can't produce our best art if we can't live our best lives.
and mm, I love that. And because I'm thinking, because I know as someone who is creating these things and trying to serve, that the need is greater than our ability sometimes to serve all those that
Yes.
need. How do you stay focused and centered, um, and acknowledge the things you're doing while knowing that there's so much we could do if we have more support?
Yeah, I think just being grounded and being around the artists that I work with. These people are not just clients or constituents for me. These are my chosen family. These are my community. These are the people that I'm out with in the club. These are the people that I call and cry to when things aren't going right. And so being connected to them and seeing the amount of work that they put in, seeing the joy that they receive, seeing how their lives change when they receive support from BTFA is what keeps me grounded and what keeps me focused on the work. And it's such an honor to be able to show up for my community in the way that I can. And I know that, we are one of very few organizations doing the work that we're doing. And so it's hard sometimes when, you're out and the girls are like, "Oh, Jordan, can I get it?" And, I want to say yes to everybody. I do. And I had to stop drinking and saying yes to people because I
Right,
was like, wait a
exactly, exactly. That's when they catch you.
minute.
Let's get a little liquor in
Yeah, they
her.
always
Yeah,
like to start asking me questions around 2, 3
mhm.
AM, right before the lights come on. I'm like, "Girl, slow down." But, no, I really do, wanna make sure that we can help as many people as we can. And so I'm very intentional about how we spread out the opportunities that we're able to give. And something I say to my staff all the time is that I know we have girls we love. I know we get really excited about projects, but because we are a nonprofit, every yes to one girl is a no to another. And so we have to be mindful of, how we spread the
And
wealth.
make sure folks are ready to take on the opportunity.
Absolutely. And so going back to your question about the programming that we do, that's another thing is that we provide artist development programming, whether it's, workshops to help artists develop their websites or how to market themselves on social media, whether it's performance coaching from myself and from Courtney, um, just collaborative opportunities for artists to share and talk, whether it's songwriters meeting with rappers and singers. It's all part of making sure that when the opportunity comes, that our folks are ready, right? And so we kind of have this pipeline at BTFA where we have our public programming, we have, the big shows that people like to see and that get folks excited,
Hmm.
right? And that draws in a crowd. And then they learn about the programming that we have that's just for Black trans femme artists, that artist development programming, our ballroom labs where folks are learning how to vogue from their favorite femme queens. And so then we get a more intimate relationship with artists. We learn more about them. And then our artists who are more early on in their careers, but who still have a lot of potential, but just need some space and time to develop. There's our artist residency program where they can spend, depending on the artist, between 3 months and 12 months developing their craft, being funded, having all their bills paid, and
Wow.
making sure that they're getting the space to create a body of work or a portfolio of work or just honing in on one project. And then we have BTFA Productions where we're fully funding and fully staffing productions, new original works by Black trans femme artists. And so, yes.
Listen,
Um,
let me just I am not I'm a girl who gives credit. You understand? And mama, you have first of all, you stressed me out a little bit because now I got to go back home and I've got to bump my stuff up a little bit more. And I've been working on it. I've been getting all the things, but you have helped me level up
mm,
in a space where I have had an agent, my managers, all these different things. And when I first started my podcast, I thought I had a sort of some support around me in the things, but because of the radical nature of me and my voice and and my podcast, I found myself not having the support that I thought I'd have, the full on support that
mhm,
I'd have. Even from sometimes from community folks, even. And so having to do this myself, I was willing, willing to do it myself and do these things. And then I'm telling you, I've been working on some projects. I have a project in Tribeca that I was celebrating this weekend. And, Daniela called me up and was just like, I know you're not going to be here in New York to do this, but I need you to show up.
mm,
And I'm going to help and get community to show up for you. And so when she was telling me that she was reaching out to you all to be sponsors of this Pride series and special, and that you would provide the space for us so generously as you have, and just that you provide the space for others when they're doing their podcast, like the Femme Queen Crazy
mhm.
Sexy Cool podcast.
Yes.
I want you to know that, and I know you already know this, but our work, and I don't just mean as trans femmes, as trans community, I mean as you and me. Our work together is just beginning because I don't want to just amplify my voice. I know there are other folks who want to develop, artists develop their voice, because they want to say things, but they don't always know how to put the ideas together, structure certain things,
Mhm.
and the tools that we use to structure those things. So we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna talk, okay?
Yes.
Because I want to figure out a way. I'm already talking to a couple girls, who I want to put my power behind to help them create their own podcasts. And maybe it'll start in the beginning with some, as contributors on my podcast until they're ready, to do other things and to develop their voice and bring what they bring. But I want to do this and not in a way like the ditties of the world. I mean, I know way in that way, but what I mean is it seems like with black men sometimes, especially black cis het men who get into the entertainment industry or other, it's it's this thing that when they become king or the boss, then they're also being capitalistic and almost like ownership over people.
Mhm.
Like, people who are under Diddy are still they're trying to get their full rights to all their things. And you're supposed to be a black person that's creating space for us. So I want to create this space not so that I can own you. I want you to freely and emphatically say, "This girl helped me." Just like I'm going to emphatically say about you, Danielle, Olivia, all the people that have been a part of this production. Girl, give me your first name again. Jamie, Derek, Adrian, Anthony, Mariano. We got a whole team. The stylists have been in here, in and out of here. Like, listen, I am going to credits are gonna be there, but it ain't. But I'm going beyond the credits. This day means the world to me. It means the world to me because I think this is the way forward. I have tried so hard as I've built and gained access to things to work with folks and build together. So many folks have seen stardom and want to, just go on their own until they realize that the system's going to drop out on you too. And so, what does it look like for us to still be able to have power, to to own our own narratives? It's by doing this. I cannot say thank you enough. I don't know when I'm gonna stop saying thank you, but just thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you're doing. So, how we need people to support this?
Mhm.
How do we get people? How can they help and support to expand? And what does expansion look and sound like for BTFA?
Number one way to support BTFA is by donating. So you can go to www.btfacollective.org and donate on our website. You can also look out on our Instagram at BTFA Collective for our new events. There's always ways to support buying tickets. Look out for the artists that we post and go support them, right? By supporting an artist, you support BTFA, right? Because you're helping us to lift our people up. We're always looking for volunteers on our Instagram stories. We're always posting PA opportunities, volunteer opportunities, and just show up and show love to Black trans femme artists, to BTFA. We always need people in seats, we need people cheering for the artists that work so hard to put on our shows. So there's a million ways. And you asked me
What is expansion?
what does
Because
expansion
I
look
feel
like?
like this is just the beginning of your vision.
This is just the beginning. I sent an email this morning about getting the unit next door to expand this studio, but the real dream is to have BTFA studios in LA and Atlanta, where we're producing work by Black trans femme artists all around this country and eventually internationally as well. So we are always wanting to build out and build up. We want our own building. We want to be able to provide housing for artists. We want to be able to have a full production warehouse with all of our own equipment. We're already working to get more equipment so that we can begin training artists in production, in film, in sound, in editing, in photography, so that they can learn not only from the artists that we work with, but have their own equipment to take home and continue learning and continue producing their own work.
So let's be clear. When I say tech, this is also what I mean. I don't mean just coding, production assistant, lights, cameras. Low key, this is what I've been working on in my space in Atlanta, where I have my recording studio, I have a podcast studio, and I have my house on the market and was selling to try to move to something bigger. The market's while right now, Donald Trump is ruining the economy. A lot
Ruin
is
everything.
ruining every girl, you're ruining it. I mean, we can't have no anyway, ruining things, but it does not deter my determination. I am determined to see my vision through. And this has just been something that tells me keep going and not just keep going. I don't have to do it alone.
Mm-mm.
My sister's over here doing it and I can connect with you and build
Absolutely.
with you.
This space came about because I was looking for just a small apartment to do up more of our productions and more of our projects. And another artist that we work with posted on Instagram saying she was looking for an artist studio space. So I said, we can do both at the same time. We found her a space. She was our first artist in residence, and we built out this production space. So let's do it.
Done. Okay, so before we go, I it's Pride season. We're doing
Hmm.
this whole Pride series. As the founder of BTFA, Jordyn Jay, what does pride mean to you?
To me, pride and taking pride in your identity means uplifting those who are the most vulnerable and the most targeted within our community. You cannot say that you are celebrating LGBTQIA pride if you are not uplifting the folks that are being targeted the most. If you are putting Kaya on stage at DC Pride and not booking any Black trans artists to perform on that same stage. If you were giving hundreds of thousands and tens of thousands, because I work in this industry, I know how much these people get paid, to Christina Aguilera and to the next white cishet celebrity, but you are making trans artists beg and post on Instagram so that we can get an email back finally so that we can get paid a month late when we're already working below our rate. So to me, pride means showing up and lifting up the people who deserve to be lifted up, who are in the community doing the work, who've been doing the work for decades, and saying that these are the voices that matter, these are the voices that need to be heard, and they're the folks that make me proud to be who I am.
Well, you make me proud to be who I am too. I love the reflection I'm seeing right now.
Thank you so
Gorgeous.
much.
Thank you. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
We'll be right back. So great, and providing these opportunities for people to find a way to contribute, even if it's not a dollar, by being a production assistant, like you said, doing all these different things. But I think there are other ways, when we think about all the money that has went into corporate pride, you know, and all the support from brands, even the beauty industry that we have so much
Mhm.
influence for so long. All these brands, talk to the people about how they can use what they have to support what you're doing. That is not just about dollars.
Right. If you're an influencer and you get free product, you get free skincare, you get free makeup, you get free hair, you have too much of it to use. You can show up, you can give it to BTFA, we can give it to girls who need it for gender affirming care, we can give it to girls who are putting on a show, we can give it to girls who are doing a photo shoot for their album cover. If you are in an administrative position where you have control over a space where people can create art, you can say, you know what, we don't have a booking today. Let me call BTFA, see if anybody needs to rehearse. Let me call BTFA, see if anybody needs to use some equipment to film. If you have an old laptop sitting around that still works, but because Apple is always marketing, you went and got the new one, go ahead and donate that laptop so that someone who is learning how to code or learning how to edit or learning how to do sound can use that laptop and develop their skills. Think about all of the things that you have to offer, whether it be skill, whether it be resources, whether it be your time. You know, I sit with artists who have never written a grant before, don't know how to put their ideas into words. I let them talk to me for an hour and I write it all out. If you're someone who's a good writer, you can offer that service so that artists can get grants and get more money. There's so many ways that you can reach out and touch someone and advance their career, advance their life in ways that you haven't even thought about.
Yes. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Thank you for creating space for us to thrive, not just survive, but thrive and be creative. Happy Pride because I am so proud of you and all that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you for paving the way. I created BTFA when Pose was on TV, and every artist that I worked with said, we want to be like the Pose girls. We want to be like Angelica. We want to be like Dominique. And I'm honored that both you and Dominique have sat in this pink chair and shared space here in this studio, and that, the legacy continues on and that we're still holding each other and lifting each other up. And so I thank you so much for all that you do.
Well, you're welcome and thank you.